So, welcome here to Sermon 4. And last time I talked about the dead knowing nothing, and we're going to get right into that. So, if the Bible says humans are made from dust, the breath returns to God, the dead go to Sheol, and Sheol is silent and inactive and everyone's unaware, then what exactly is the condition of the dead? Are they alive somewhere else? Or are they truly, 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 truly dead? Because now we're going to come to a part of the Bible that doesn't hint at the answers here. It speaks directly. Listen to Ecclesiastes 9, verse 5. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. That's a pretty clear statement. It doesn't say they know less, and it doesn't say they have another sort of awareness, but it says they know nothing. But before we sort of explain this away or soften it, let's just sit with it for a second. If the dead are consciously experiencing heaven or consciously experiencing hell, how could this biblical statement be true? And it gets stronger. We go to Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10. There is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol. No work, no thought, no knowledge of anything, and no wisdom of anything in Sheol, in death. And that's not kind of a partial description. That's pretty complete. Now listen also to the Psalms 6, 5. In death, there is no remembrance of you. And Psalm 146, verse 4, his breath goes forth. He returns to the earth. In that very day, his thoughts perish. Now, that matches very well with what we read in Genesis. Breath leaves, body returns to the earth, body returns to dust, and your thoughts perish. So let's recap a little bit here. Across multiple books in the Old Testament, different authors, different periods of time, the Bible consistently describes death as no knowledge, no thought, no remembrance, no activity, no limited awareness or altered awareness, no awareness. And this tension is very clear, and we have to address it because many people still hold this, and many educated and very smart people still hold this idea that at death, people either go to heaven or to hell, and they're fully conscious, fully aware, and experiencing joy or torment. But the Bible describes something completely different. The modern idea is death, and then there's an immediate conscious experience, which you might think, well, why do we call it death? It's just life to life. But the Bible says death, no knowledge, and waiting. Now enter Job. And here he adds some really good stuff because Job adds something crucial, not just what death is, but what happens after death. Listen to this. Job 14, 13 to 15. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would appoint me a set time and remember me. And then Job says, all the days of my appointed time I will wait till my change comes. Wait. That's the word. And think about that. Job doesn't say, I will go immediately to God. He says, hide me in Sheol, keep me there until a future moment. And in that future moment, remember me. And during that time, he says, I will wait. It isn't unlike being downloaded to the cloud. Your document is there doing nothing and having no awareness. But you remember it and you can retrieve it back. That's not a good example. But death leads to Sheol. Sheol leads to waiting. God remembers you, and God brings this change of resurrection. And this changes everything because now we don't just have death and silence. Now we have death and waiting and a future awakening, which raises a powerful question about the common ideas here that if people all are already alive in heaven, what exactly are they waiting for? And Job leaves us with one more remarkable insight. Job 19:25-27. After my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God. So notice the sequence here. The body is destroyed, and then later, in flesh, he sees his God. Not as a disembodied soul, not as some sort of spirit or glowing orb, but as a restored person. And now the pattern is becoming much clearer. Death is real. The dead are not conscious. They are in Sheol and they are waiting. And the hope is not escape, but the hope is resurrection, bodily resurrection. So the question changes a little bit now. Where do people go when they die is probably not as relevant as when and how do they live again? And the Bible is about to answer that question very clearly. And for the first time, quite explicitly. And when it does, it will change how we understand judgment, God's judgment, and what people will call hell. And in our next talk on this, we will move into the prophets. And for the first time, the Bible will say plainly that the dead will rise, some to judgment, some to life. And once you see that, you start to really understand the basis of the whole story. But that will be next time. And until then, God bless.